kids and sports injuries.
There's been a 5 to 7-fold, in some sports 10-fold, increase in youth injuries since year 2000. That's an epidemic. That's a crisis.
And when there's pain, there isn't fun.
My senior year in high school, I couldn't wait for soccer to be over with.
How you can keep your kids safe and in the game.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Southern Remedy. Tonight we're focusing on issues that probably hit home for most of you watching: kids' sports and sports injuries. Every year, millions of children are injured, sometimes seriously, as they take part in organized sports. We hope to provide you information about what kids should be doing and when as parents to step in. We'll start this off with a look at two athletes, both in college, both of whom have been playing sports for years. The toll that year-round sports can take on a young athlete can be severe.
Kids and sports. In a state like Mississippi, where the weather is mild and the competition is high, the two things seem to go hand in hand. And what also goes along with them? Injuries. Every year in the United States, more than 3.5 million children under the age of 14 require medical treatment for injuries that happened while playing sports. Two of those older athletes, Mississippi State student Camille Dumas and University of Mississippi quarterback Bo Wallace.
I started out when I was 3. I started playing soccer at the Y, and then I started swimming at the Y at age 4.
I love it. I can't imagine my life without it. Been playing it since I was 4th grade, so I just got addicted to it from the very first day.
Both Camille and Bo are serious athletes who have seen their share of injuries and have had their sports careers affected by pain and recovery. Bo is fighting back from surgery after playing most of the 2012 football season with a pretty serious shoulder injury, one that affected his ability to throw the football.
It's a violent game, so injuries are going to happen. You just got to go out there and keep playing.
He's right. Football is a violent game, perhaps the most violent of all the sports kids can play as an organized sport. In 2007, almost 1 million football-playing kids under the age of 18 were treated in emergency rooms for injuries. Those injuries can be anything from as simple as a bad bruise to something as severe as a concussion. The Centers for Disease Control estimates that up to 2 million student athletes suffer brain injuries each year, and the majority of those are in football. But so far, Bo's been lucky. The only other major injury he suffered came at the opposite end of his body.
The only other kind of major injury I had was a broken foot, but other than that, nothing I've ever had to have surgery on.
And that injury, way in the rearview mirror.
Freshman football game, got tackled from behind and broke my metatarsals.
Fast forward to fall 2013, as Bo is finally shaking the rust off of his surgically repaired shoulder after sitting out the spring practice season.
It's good. I've finished the rehab just out here practicing, so I feel like I'm 100% right now. At first it was tough just because I was coming in and not getting to do much, just kind of move my arm around, and so the first couple months were really tough, and then as we got going, it got a little bit easier as I could do more things.
Back on the road, hopefully to SEC domination? Well, there are plenty of other teams who will help determine that. In the meantime, Bo is working hard to stay healthy and get past any demons.
The first couple of days I was out here, I was kind of timid, didn't want to get it hit or anything like that, but now it's just out playing football again. I think, anytime you're out there, you're a competitor, you're trying to win, you're gonna put it all on the line, so that's the last thing I'm thinking about is my shoulder when I'm out there.
Camille Dumas is an athlete. You name the sport, she's played it.
I played rec soccer at the Y, swam all those years, and then I quit swimming after I turned 12 to just focus on soccer. I played for Jackson Football Club until I was 15. Then our team merged with Mississippi Fire, and I played with them until I was 17. And I also played high school soccer from the 7th grade to the 12th grade, which is at Northwest Rankin. And I did track, cross country, did a little softball, basketball, just about anything you can think of. Tried it all.
And now that she's in college, she's doing it all as an intramural athlete.
I play soccer, water polo, dodgeball, done ultimate frisbee, flag football.
All those sports, all those years, they add up and take a toll on the body, and Camille is living with the consequences.
I had a stress fracture in my foot, I broke my tailbone, had stress fractures all in my back, broke my arm. I've had a lot of pulls, like pulled muscles, strains, sprains, done all that. And all of them have come from soccer or from overuse of my body. My broken arm came in my last competitive soccer game I ever played. Was my senior year, and I broke both bones, snapped it right across there. My back was the worst one. They had to go in and we tried the back brace, didn't work, tried therapy, didn't work, so they had to go in and put a rod, pins, and screws in the back of it, and recovery was terrible for that.
Recovery that lasted for months and months, and still her back flares up on occasion.
I can run like I used to, but not for as long. It's taken me a lot longer to start running again. I was also doing marathons and triathlons because I started enjoying that. But now, since I've hurt my back and my arm and my foot, if I go too far, if I do too much, then it'll hurt it.
And like Bo Wallace, for Camille, with sports now also comes some worry.
I get worried when I play soccer with my back just because I don't want to get hit, because they have said before if I get hit wrong, it could mess it up again. So I don't want to get hit again. And then I've never been scared to do anything, but after my back surgery and they let me start doing stuff, I was kind of scared to get out there and do anything because I didn't want to go through the pain that I'd been through.
Both Camille and Bo have experience dealing with injuries, and so does the subject of our next piece. You may not have heard of Dr. James Andrews, but if you're a professional sports fan, you're familiar with his work. Now, Dr. Andrews is working to keep young athletes healthy and in the game.
Millions of children each year are spending time in doctors' offices and emergency rooms because of things that are usually preventable. Dr. James Andrews is one of the most renowned orthopedic surgeons in the world. His client list is incredibly A-list, from Charles Barkley to Robert Griffin III to Kerry Strug to both Peyton and Eli Manning. Dr. James Andrews has saved and maybe even enhanced the careers of thousands of big-name athletes. But he also examines regular kids playing high school sports. And it's while working with those younger athletes that Dr. Andrews noticed an alarming trend.
We used to see high school and younger kids, about 10% of what I would see. And in year 2000, I started noticing all of a sudden some of the rooms were filled with kids 14, 15, 16, 17 years of age. I said, what's going on out there? We started keeping the statistics, and we found out since year 2000, there's been a 5 to 7-fold, in some sports 10-fold, increase in youth injuries since year 2000. And that's an epidemic. That's a crisis.
So what has changed? Why are so many kids getting injured now when they weren't before?
Two reasons. The number one reason is year-round sports. That means playing one sport 11 or 12 months out of the year, never having a break to recuperate. The other reason is what we call professionalism. Professionalism means we're taking young kids and training them like they're professional athletes, and therefore the overuse injuries go way up.
Overuse is a huge issue in kids' sports, particularly when it comes to running and baseball.
We did a study at our research foundation in Birmingham at ASMI on kids that I had done a Tommy John's procedure on in high school that tore the Tommy John's ligament. Big operation, by the way. The ones I'd operated on in high school, we went back and looked at that group and tried to study their risk factors. And we found out that that group, as an average, had 1 week off each year from playing baseball. Guess what week that was? Christmas to New Year's. Otherwise, they were throwing baseballs competitively. And here they are with an adult operation at age 15.
Again, that type of injury is an overuse injury. Stress fractures, injuries to muscles and tendons and to the joints tend to fall into this category. The other type of injury is traumatic injury. These are the injuries that happen suddenly, such as a broken bone or a tear to the anterior cruciate ligament, the ACL, or even a concussion.
The myth is that people will tell you that Young athletes, young kids are less vulnerable to injury than mature athletes. And that's just the opposite. Young kids are more vulnerable for injury, particularly when they're participating at a high level like an adult.
So if you're a parent with a high-energy child, what are you to do? We asked Dr. Andrews just what sports parents should put their kids in.
If you want to put your kid in the sport that has the least injury rate, golf, according to statistics, is number one. Cross-country running and all is number one with the total number of injuries. Football still leads the way with the total number of serious injuries in the United States.
But the sport that got him most worked up?
Cheerleading, for example, is completely out of control with the number of injuries, serious injuries. Cheerleading leads the way for number one injuries that are serious, such as what we call catastrophic injuries, which means head injuries, spinal cord injuries. They lead the way. Looking at cheerleading as a sport and controlling how they practice, how high they can build pyramids, whether they practice on asphalt outside on the concrete or asphalt versus having mats, having spotters, and how high can they throw up the flyers and all that. All those rules are being adapted now, and finally we're paying attention to cheerleaders. Why am I so involved with cheerleaders? Three of my daughters, I have four daughters, three of them were cheerleaders. And one daughter tore both her ACLs. One is an 8th grader and one is a senior in high school cheerleading.
And apparently the spirit stick has been passed in the Andrews family.
Now I've got two granddaughters that are in cheerleading, little granddaughters, and I'm asking myself, why am I letting them do this?
Those granddaughters may be just two of the reasons behind his STOP program, aimed at helping coaches, parents, grandparents, players, whoever, know all the risk factors involved in every different sport and how to play each sport safely.
Parents are the guardians, but you know, you'd be amazed. The majority of young parents have no idea of the risk factors that are involved with a specific sport. They'll come in to see me with an injury, and they'll say, you know, I had no idea that my child could get hurt playing youth baseball or cheerleading or whatever, soccer, or whatever it might be.
The STOP program is the result of decades of Dr. Andrews' firsthand knowledge, both as an orthopedic surgeon and as a team doctor for high school, college, and professional teams.
Well, STOP is an acronym for Sports Trauma and Overuse Prevention, STOP, in youth sports. When we say stop, that doesn't mean we're against kids playing sports. In fact, our motto in that program is to keep the kids on the playing field and out of the operating room.
The program can be found online at www.stopsportsinjuries.org. And it's elaborate. From baseball to wrestling, there are risk factors and guidelines on how to stay safe. There are athlete resources. There are links to help athletes find specialists in their areas. There's even a blog with the latest young athlete sport news. The program is impressive, and its goals are to keep kids healthy and playing sports.
You can't prevent everything. Sports are still better for these kids than some of the other activities they might be doing if they weren't involved in sports.
No matter if you're a parent or a grandparent with a kid playing sports, those statistics from Dr. Andrews are pretty scary. So how do you watch out for your kids in these times of year-round sports? Here's what you need to know.
Kids are kids, and sports are sports. It's inevitable that somewhere in between there are going to be injuries. The best thing parents, athletes, and coaches can do is be prepared. According to the Centers for Disease Control, half of all sports injuries in children are preventable with education and proper sports equipment. Another major thing for parents to be watching out for is fatigue. When kids get too wiped out to play sports correctly, injuries happen.
Fatigue in any sport, fatigue in soccer is a big factor in losing your dynamics, coming down wrong on your knee from a non-contact twist, and tearing your ACL.
And what about running the energy out of kids? Some coaches think it's a good thing.
And this stuff about taking young kids to fatigue, having them run laps around a field when they're 10 years old,
Another big thing we mentioned but have not detailed yet, concussion. Dr. Bill Mustaine, an audiologist from the University of Mississippi Medical Center, has studied them extensively.
A concussion is brain damage. It's diffuse brain damage, meaning it's spread all over the brain.
A simple enough definition, a terribly hard thing to diagnose.
This is not something that you can diagnose by doing an X-ray or taking a blood test, because there are no definitive markers for concussion. It is manifest mostly in the symptoms that occur.
And those symptoms vary widely. Things like loss of consciousness, headaches, memory loss, trouble sleeping, and personality changes.
You want to evaluate symptoms, of course, that's very important. But you also want to look at memory, at cognitive processing, thinking abilities, and also balance, because when you add these three together, your ability to pick out a concussion and validate that it has occurred, and also see changes from a pre-concussion baseline goes up significantly.
According to Dr. Mustaine, the majority of concussions last from 7 to 10 days, but that's a risky rule to go by if you're a parent with a kid who just suffered a significant bonk to the head.
Most concussions recover in 7 to 10 days. But there is a small percentage, we don't know what that is, it may be 15%, maybe 20%, maybe 25%. We don't really know, but there are small percentages that take much longer. And that's why just using a set week out situation, or depending completely on presence or absence of symptoms, can be misleading, because you need to have full functional recovery rather than just recovery from symptoms.
Why is it so important to recover? Because a second concussion could be so much worse. Dr. Mustaine warns that if an athlete gets a second concussion while the first one is still not healed, the damage will be much more severe. We spoke to several physicians about sports to get their advice on how kids can stay safe. First up, baseball.
Fatigue in youth baseball is a high risk factor.
Dr. Andrews warns that kids should have plenty of time off between baseball seasons, anywhere from 2 to 3 months.
The other problem in youth baseball is what? Throwing curveballs.
Dr. Andrews points out that young baseball players don't often have the body development necessary to throw certain types of pitches and risk hurting themselves by attempting to throw them.
The other risk factor is the radar gun. Why the radar gun? Well, you know, some of the daddies now have radar guns sitting in the backyard trying to get their kids to clock out at 90 miles per hour, and they're 15 years old.
A few other precautions to think about, parents. Proper gear is just as important in baseball as in any other sport. The sport is the leading cause of eye injuries. Face masks are recommended when batting and catching. Also, factor in practice when calculating pitch counts and time on the field. Finally, pitchers shouldn't be catchers, and catchers shouldn't be pitchers. In football, while concussions get a lot of the press,
football is the leader. I think about 46-47% of all athletic-related, sports-related concussions are football-related. But they do occur in other sports.
Football is responsible for plenty of other injuries as well. Dr. Lawrence Haber is a pediatric orthopedist at the University of Mississippi Medical Center and sees a lot of young athletes.
So the most common injuries we see in kids in football are fractures. Broken arm, broken leg. We certainly see, there's overuse injuries of the knees and things like that, where a tendon gets inflamed or a growth plate gets inflamed. But the most common sports injuries we see in football players are fractures.
While parents can't take the hits for their kids on the field, they can do as much as possible to help them stay safe. First off, they can make sure that they have good gear. Properly fitting helmets, face masks, and uniforms are absolutely vital. The helmet should be snug over the ears, forehead, and back of the head. If the helmet is ever damaged or broken, it should be immediately replaced. Never play with a broken helmet or one that is loose. Also, make sure that your kids are taught to properly tackle. Players should also learn to protect their legs while playing, as well as learn to stretch properly. All of these things kids learn from a good coach. One last thing to worry about here is the Mississippi sun. The heat. Be sure that your athletes stay hydrated, relatively cool, and that coaches are aware of the health of their players at all times. In basketball, the injuries are not nearly as severe as they are in other sports, but it is still worth keeping an eye on. Each year, about 1 million boys and girls hit the court, but there are about 1.6 million injuries reported. Most of the injuries are pretty minor. Stress fractures do occur in the lower leg and feet as the result of overuse. If a child feels pain in the bone, they should stop activity immediately and rest until healed. Other areas of risk are in the joints. Because basketball is a cutting sport, meaning players are cutting back and forth quickly, places like the knees are vulnerable. This results in ACL tears, as well as overuse injuries to the cartilage and meniscus tears. The sport that causes a lot of debate over whether it is even a sport is cheerleading. In 2002, over 3.5 million people were involved in cheerleading, and that number has grown steadily in the decades since. But it does not come without risk. Cheerleading makes up more than 16,000 ER visits annually in the U.S. and more than half of the catastrophic injuries for female athletes. That is half of the catastrophic injuries for female athletes in all sports. The NCAA reports that the health insurance costs associated with cheerleading make up 25% of the overall medical costs. That's higher than the total for 90 other sports combined. With all this in mind, some guidelines are being recommended for cheerleading, including age guidelines, which limit pyramids and stunts. There are stunt-specific recommendations. Parents should also get involved and ask for other requirements such as qualified coaches, regulation mats, proper training facilities, and prohibit unsafe devices and routines. The major challenge with cheerleading is that despite what many people think, cheerleading is not officially a sport. According to the National Federation of High School Associations and the NCAA, it has not been declared a real sport, and until it is, it will not have real regulation or real safety requirements. These are just a few of the sports that Mississippians love to play, watch, and cheer on. To see any other sport you or your child loves to play, check out the website www.stopsportsinjuries.org.
For more on what you just heard, plus information on other sports, again, that website is www.stopsportsinjuries.org. Finally, we look at the sports themselves. Back in my day, sports were about fun, about having a catch with your dad in the front yard or tossing a football on Thanksgiving Day. What has changed, and how do these changes affect kids?
Throughout the annals of time, part of being a parent has meant sitting on the sidelines as your child played their first big game. It meant many little baseball gloves, itsy-bitsy soccer cleats, their first cheerleading uniform with your college logo on it. And in those first days, it was fun. But for some kids, when sports are an everyday, every week thing, it stops being fun.
After about my sophomore year, it was more of a job. I would say I enjoyed it, but not as much as I used to. Not like I did when I was in 7th, 8th, 9th grade. No. Like my senior year in high school, I couldn't wait for soccer to be over with.
After so many years on the soccer pitch, Camille now knows that how she played the game before is far different from how she would approach it now.
I did it because I was real competitive. I didn't do it just for enjoying it. I did it more to win. And now that I'm not playing any sports and I've broken down my body so much, now I realize I should have enjoyed it more than trying to go out there and win and be so competitive.
Camille isn't the first young athlete to come to this conclusion. Millions of kids each year drop out of sports for different reasons. Dr. James Andrews sees plenty of them in his office.
The statistics show that 60% of young kids drop out of organized sports by the age of 13. Now, you would think that's high. It seems high to me. But they drop out for peer pressure, coach pressure, or parental pressure. And some of it, and some of them just plain burn out. And they decide they don't want to do it. And I have them come in the office to see me at age 13 or 14 and can't quite figure out why they're there. And 2 and 2 doesn't add up to 4. Why are they complaining? And they don't want to tell their parents that they're burnt out. So they tell their parents they're hurt or something. And you have to get the parents out of the room, talk to the kids straight, and find out, well, why are you telling me this? And the reason is because they want to quit sports. They're burnt out. That's a problem.
And why do they want to quit sports? For various reasons. Some are tired of playing. Some are interested in other activities. Some are feeling too much pressure to live the lives their parents want them to live.
There's a lot of delusional parents out there.
Most young parents, when they see their kid, let's say he's 3 years old starting t-ball, and they go watch him swing a bat. Man, he's going to be a great baseball player. You see how he can swing that bat? And they're all involved in it themselves. And then there are parents that really push their kids, thinking that they're going to really be professional athletes. And the big carrot out there that they're pushing for is a college scholarship in sports. They don't realize that less than 1% of all these high school athletes get a college scholarship. And they think that that's an automatic, and they push these kids.
Dr. Susan Buttress is a specialist in child behavior and knows what this type of pressure does to kids.
I do think kids get burned out by parents living vicariously through them, and in fact, I've seen that in my practice.
Dr. Buttress has treated several such cases over the years and explains how kids under this type of pressure end up with all types of problems.
What kind of pressure are you putting on a child? After a while, then it's a job, it's a drudgery, and no longer the joy. So that chronic anxiety is bad for everybody, bad for adults and children, but especially bad for children. Increased anxiety decreases the ability to concentrate, decreases the ability to sleep. It can wreak havoc on your sense of well-being, and children even get into gut problems, GI problems.
If you're pushing them into organized sports, whether they want to or you want them to, you really have to step back and take a good hard look at that.
Scott Steele is a youth league coach in the Madison-Ridgeland area, and unlike many coaches, while winning is important, it's not even close to being number one on his list.
These kids have got to have a good foundation, because if they don't have a good foundation, there's going to be nothing to build on. So if they're a good person underneath it all, and they've got some good character traits, and they're going to be an even better teammate.
Scott pushes the notion of fun, something almost unheard of in this day of select sports, scholarships, and winning is everything.
I talked to Bobby Cox and Freddie Gonzalez, the managers of the Atlanta Braves, and asked them that very question. I was like, what do you do in Little League when you see a kid that has that kind of star caliber? And he was like, encourage them, just encourage them and make sure that the game is fun. Because if they believe that the game is fun, they're going to stick with it and they're going to try even harder. If they look at it as work at this age right now, they're just going to clam up. So coming from major league managers and people like that, you hear that kind of advice and you're like, wow, that's even more encouragement for me as just a dad who's trying to help some kids develop beginners baseball skills, to just say, hey, look, this just needs to be really fun for you. You really just need to fall in love with this game before you can go to the next level.
Even with this light approach to the game and to coaching, he still runs across the occasional coach and kid who need a reminder that the game is, well, a game.
As far as some of these kids come out here forgetting it's a game, absolutely. I see that all the time. You see the kids that wander into Sunday school that have been gone 3 out of 4 weeks, and they come in and they just look like they've been run over by a truck. You're like, hey, where you been? I'm like, oh, playing baseball.
So how does Scott turn it around for these kids? How does he get the fun back into the game?
You get the fun back in it by just showing these kids what a blast it is and how to play it the right way for fun. And sure, there's a scoreboard out there, and there always will be a scoreboard in your life, but you have to understand that if you're doing your best and you're falling in love with this game, that's really what matters. And whether it's football, basketball, or curling, if they're falling in love with it, that's really the goal, especially from my perspective as a coach and as a dad, is to just get them to fall in love with it. And if I can just get their feet wet a little bit, make them like it, or they fall in love with it, they want to like it, then job done.
Hopefully this show's been helpful, but if you still have questions, please visit our website, www.southernremedy.org. There we have links to this program as well as more information, such as instructions on how to properly fit a football helmet. Again, that's www.southernremedy.org. As we leave you tonight, something to think about. As you heard in the program, parents are the guardians. It's up to you to keep your kids safe. Know the dangers in your child's sport. Purchase the gear they need to participate safely. Be aware of what happens at practice and during sporting events. With your help, kids can play any game they want and be safe and healthy. Thanks again for watching. I'm Dr. Rick DeShazo.